Hey everybody, Mary Z back once again here for Voice Hacks. I am so excited today because I'm doing something really different. I got a really great suggestion in the comments the other day from a user who suggested that I should check out different metal vocalists who've auditioned for idol programs, which is really great because it's more of a genuine reaction from me because it's people I don't know, people I'm not familiar with, people who you're not that familiar with, and I really don't watch these shows. I got to be honest with you guys. I loved The Masked Singer, which is completely different from other types of idol shows or Got Talent shows, but in this episode of Voice Hacks, we're going to take a look at vocalists from all over the world. I'm going to tell you what went wrong with them, why metal does or does not work sometimes as an idol audition, especially here in the States, and if it would work as a genre, why or why not would some of these people be successful? What could they have done to be more successful in their audition? We're going to take a look at all that and more today on Voice Hacks. So the first one I picked here is pretty recent, and I'm definitely out of touch with Idol. I haven't watched an Idol show in years. I actually auditioned for an Idol show once, an American Idol, but I'm going to tell you about that later. I didn't get very far as a metal vocalist, but I'll tell you why later and explain why in the States metal vocalists don't get very far on these shows. They're not taken very seriously. So the first vocalist I have is a metal vocalist who tries to sing a Judas Priest song called Grinder on American Idol. And we're going to watch his performance a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why or why not, this worked for him. So let's take a look. This is Tyler Gordon.
So the straight and narrow, I won't keep in time. I tend to bend the arrow out of a line. Grinder, looking for beat. Grinder, wants you to eat. Oh.
So it looks like the judges were not into his performance. And honestly, I was not either, right? Let's talk about why or why not. What's wrong with his vocals? Like, he was hitting these high notes. So what is it? What's wrong? Well, here's the thing. Actually, his tone, the sound of his voice is very good. And the tone quality is good. And the placement is good as far as his distortion is actually also really good. His super high falsetto note was great as well. So what is wrong then with his audition? One of the things is many folks, when they're auditioning in these dry rooms, and I know from my experience of having gone to one of these auditions one time in my lifetime, that it was really sterile, and you often are not allowed to use any accompaniment, and it has to be a cappella. The downside to that is most of us don't have perfect pitch, which is remembering the actual note name and being able to pull it out accurately out of thin air without a reference. So when you're unaccompanied like this, chances are you're going to sing in the wrong key. Even though he has a high voice, this is way too high of a key for Grinder, this song. If you go and Google the original, it sits in a way lower key, and he's not singing the correct pitches at all. He's not singing in tune at all. What's the smart thing to do is find out what note it starts on. You can get a piano app for your keyboard, and then right before you go into the audition room, hit the note on the keyboard. The other thing you could do is just play it off your phone, play the song for a second, get your pitch, and then go into the audition room if that's possible. A lot of folks get thrown off. If they would have an accompaniment, they would actually be better. But I think they do this to weed people out. And also, anybody who's going to show off like this, one reason why metal doesn't work in the States is because metal like this, that's not more hard rock leaning, is not going to get very far with an American audience. This was for American Idol, and high-voiced metal like this just isn't mainstream popular. American Idol is a music factory with a pre-planned, group of producers who know what they're looking for that season. And in the States, it's almost always not even a hard rock singer. If you go hard rock for an audition in the States, you have to go for like Chris Daughtry or something along those lines. You can't really go full Judas Priest like this. The other thing is I felt like he was adding high notes that are not in the original recording. Honestly, it's better to be more conservative and sing more accurately than wail on notes but sing wildly out of tune. It was very hard to tell what song he was singing at first. And I know this Judas Priest song, and I know some of you do too. You either get to the judges by actually being very good in something that they want this year in their category, or you get there by being sort of a novelty or something totally goofy like that, or being totally bad, unfortunately. In this case, this guy's not totally bad. And honestly, I think he might have sang better with an accompaniment. I'm not entirely sure. But whatever it was, it's really the tuning that killed him. You can have a nice tone. You can have great placement. You could do the distortion correctly. But if you are singing out of tune, nobody wants to listen to it. It doesn't sound, you can't tell what song it is. It doesn't make sense to the audience. So you need to learn to sing in tune. So the next guy we're going to check out is this guy named Vocalist. I have no idea where he's from or what his deal is, but he was on 2019 American Idol. Let's check out Vocalist.
American Preacher.
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
1 second.
All right.
Let's go! I don't roll with your snitches, ride through town with my bros. I don't mess with punk snitches, now you better bow down. I don't deep into hell, devil's night it's a spell. Music sharp like a knife, demon creature for life. Lyrics tight, grab the mic, let your life I just might. What? Let's go! Time has now come! Everybody must fly! I will follow the system! Don't make me burn to the ground! Won't believe what you tell me! Let's put an end to this now! Hell yes.
Okay, so this is the thing. You have to understand that in a country where metal and extreme things are not popular, some kind of industrial rapper like this isn't going to go very far on a pop idol show. These are country and pop people judging. I guess Lionel Richie would be more R&B, but still judging this artist, and they have very little exposure to extreme genres. To me, this guy actually, the way he dresses and what he's doing is pretty unique. And honestly, I think he could be some kind of underground niche rapper, vocalist type of guy, like Ghost Main or something like that. But even that is going to go that's way too extreme, even though it's not metal, to have on an idol show. Like, no one's going to really bite that. They're going to let him get this far, and that's as far as he's going to get. Honestly, I could see that having some weird potential. I know that sounds kind of weird. I'm interested to know what you guys think. And the other thing is the mistake, like, so if you want to take it seriously, you can't do an original song. Like, that's really the thing. I see a lot of folks try to do originals, and you've got to do something that, you know, the judges recognize. When I did my one-time audition thing, the person next to me in line, she was doing an original, and it's like it's unrecognizable. The judges it's hard for them to tell if it's in tune or not if they don't know the song. I'm surprised he did an accompaniment. Usually you're not allowed to have accompaniments or microphones, so they let him do that, probably because they knew he wasn't going to get that far. So, or maybe the rules changed. I'm not really sure. I would advise not doing too extreme of something if you want to succeed on an idol show. If you want to be more extreme metal, that's awesome. I mean, I have been in extreme bands, but I don't expect to win idol shows with those things. So that's the thing. Anytime you go on something like this, you're catering to the mainstream. Metal is not the mainstream, and you've got to be open to that, and you've got to understand that, and you have to understand that what you're going into is a bit of the lion's den. It's not going to be people who recognize your genre at all. Some of these people never ever listen to it. They don't even know who Cannibal Corpse is or anything like that, and so it just completely throws them off guard. They have no way to process it or no concept for it. So one of the only ways that metal can make it to the top or anywhere in an idol show or a Got Talent show is going to be by having a child play it. So if it's something extreme but a kid's doing it, they'll let it go a little bit further. Honestly, it's the producers who are deciding. And this is all sort of crafted. Even though the auditions are random, the shows know what kind of stuff they're looking for. This stuff has a lot of intent behind it. And they would rather see a kid up there. They know the audience is going to react to a kid. So in this case, we're going to be looking at Callum, the heavy metal kid from Australia's Got Talent, and he's playing Through the Fire and the Flames. And what's interesting is he's actually playing the guitar and singing, this is very difficult. And I don't know, this kid looks like he's somewhere between like 10 and 13. We'll see how he does here and what is good, what goes right and not right about this performance.
On a cold winter morning, in the time before the light, in flames of desert, sun and rain, we ride towards the fight. As the darkness is falling down and the times are tough for rain, the sound of evil left falls around the world today. So far away, we wait for the day, for the lights are so wasted and gone. We feel the pain of a lifetime lost in 1,000 days. The fire and the flames we carry on. So far away, we wait for the day, for the lights are so wasted and gone. We feel the pain of a lifetime lost in 1,000 days. The fire and the flames we carry.
So that was really excellent for a 10-year-old. Unbelievable, right? But the same thing is like if you're actually a professional musician, you can see there were quite a bit of mistakes in the guitar playing, right? But I mean, I know many adults who couldn't play half of the accurate parts that he played either. But his vocals, which is what we're here for on the Voicehacks channel, because I can't play the guitar at all. So this kid's got like a lot on me, so I'm not judging him. I'm just pointing out some differences between him and Dragon Force, but the vocals were fantastic. This kid was actually pretty in tune, and he sang with good placement, and it worked in his voice, his young voice. I hope his voice stays high enough to sing this song as he gets older, but I actually think his vocals went really well. So the criteria that propelled him to the top in a more pop idol type of audition show. Lots of grandiose flames. And of course, Dragon Force is like this very grandiose, showy, upbeat style song. It's not an original song, right? It's something that some people recognize. Playing and singing at the same time. He's a kid doing it. And his vocals are really quite good. So these are the criteria that propelled him to the top. But again, I'm not sure that this will make it as far as a talent show goes, because heavy metal is hard to market as a mainstream product, and that's what all these shows are after ultimately. Even if it's a kid, it's generally a flash in the pan before they're on to just being a regular metal person like the rest of us. The next one is going to be from New Zealand Idol, and this guy's going to try to do Slipknot, and we're going to see why or why not did that work for the judges, and was his performance good? Let's see.
Oh, goodness. We've got to be ready for this one.
Goodbye! I wipe it off that talk, the lies brought out this time. Everything's pretty and blessed for me. My eyes are red and good, my hands straight and straight. There's not the way I picture me. I can't control my shakes. How the hard I get. Say about this so very wrong.
Definitely what was wrong there is we couldn't recognize the song at all. The person didn't have any sense of pitch. And he was also doing the one thing I tell you guys not to do with death metal vocals or harsh vocals, which is touch your false chords together and just make this kind of sound. I couldn't hear any of the melody of Wait and Bleed in there at all. And so we have to make sure we actually have a sense of melody and pitch to go with it, even if it's a cappella. That's the biggest problem with a lot of these people who don't go far. If you are a metal person and you wear some corpse paint and you do some crazy stuff and you get in front of the judges, I think it would be amazing if you actually wowed them. I'm not sure how far a serious metal singer would get. Once again, they've got these real pre-planned ideas about what they want. Even in countries where metal has more of a mainstream presence, in general, more extreme music and harsh vocals do not have a mainstream appeal. I auditioned for American Idol once when they came to one of the cities I was living in, because I was like, well, they came, why not? But it's a long, exhausting process, and you have to go through a lot. And I was a good singer. I did a good job, but I picked like regular rock songs, and I looked pretty ordinary. So I didn't advance very far. And the reason is because I didn't have sort of a gimmick. I wasn't terrible. I didn't do anything enough to put me in front of the judges. I wasn't doing country or some of the other things they were looking for that year. That year, I saw a lot of the people they were taking, and it was very, very obvious they were looking for very young people who were doing country music, or very unique people singing country music. So you can always kind of tell what they're looking for if you're actually at one of these auditions based on kind of who they keep and who they don't. It's based on what they're looking for. You have to be good and what they're looking for. If you wanted to be like a hard rock or a metal person and try to make it on one of these idol shows, my advice to you would be to do something popular enough to be recognizable, or throw the judges for a total loop. Dress all metal and sing country or something like that. Or dress all country and sing metal. But whatever you do, don't do something too extreme with a lot of screaming in it, like harsh vocals in it. Do something that is possibly recognizable to some of the judges. And so that means you might have to go into the hard rock or new metal kind of genres and maybe grunge. What would you guys do for an audition if you were a hard rock or metal singer? Do you think you could win? Do you think you know somebody who could win? Let's see you guys rise to the challenge. Let's have more rock and metal singers auditions for these shows and push the envelope. Tell me, leave me your links too of people rock and metal auditions I haven't seen. I'll make several of these videos. I just didn't want to make them too incredibly long. Put some links in there of some metal and rock audition, idol show, talent show type people you want me to check out, and I will definitely react to those as well. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. Email me at voicehacks@gmail.com if you're looking for voice lessons on Skype. We're wrapping up with Black Metal Idol here. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.